Hurricane Helene, one of the deadliest storms to impact the United States in recent history, struck with unrelenting force in late September 2024. This powerful Category 4 hurricane made landfall in Florida's Big Bend region, a coastal area not typically accustomed to storms of this magnitude. Helene's arrival marked the strongest storm ever to strike this part of Florida, and was catastrophic in terms of both wind speed and storm surge, leaving a path of destruction across the southeastern United States. Initially, meteorologists noticed signs of potential tropical cyclone activity on September 17, 2024, when a disturbance formed in the western Caribbean Sea. This system rapidly intensified, influenced by the Central American Gyre, a broad area of low pressure, and the Madden-Julian Oscillation, which together created the perfect breeding ground for hurricane development. Within a few days, on September 23rd, the system gained enough organization to be designated Potential Tropical Cyclone 9. By the following day, the storm had strengthened into Tropical Storm Helene, gaining momentum as it traveled northward toward the Gulf of Mexico. Helene's intensification was swift. It reached hurricane status on September 25th as it entered the Gulf with ideal conditions for strengthening: minimal wind shear, high humidity, and sea surface temperatures exceeding 86 degrees Fahrenheit. These factors fueled the storm, allowing it to intensify quickly into a Category 4 hurricane by September 26th. The storm's enormous size also posed a unique threat. Meteorologists noted it was among the largest hurricanes in recent memory, exposing an extensive area to severe winds, rain, and the risk of tornadoes. As Helene approached Florida, evacuation orders were issued across counties in the Big Bend region and along the Gulf Coast, where storm surge was anticipated to be devastating. Unfortunately, due to the storm's rapid intensification, not all residents were able to leave in time. Helene's impact upon landfall was catastrophic, with winds over 130 miles per hour and storm surge flooding reaching unprecedented heights, inundating low-lying areas, uprooting trees, and cutting off entire neighborhoods. In the hours following landfall, Hurricane Helene continued its relentless path of destruction through the southeast, pushing inland with hurricane-force winds and torrential rains that left entire communities submerged. Although Helene's wind speeds slightly reduced as it moved inland, the storm's intensity remained formidable, sweeping through Georgia, South Carolina, and up through North Carolina, with powerful gusts and severe rainfall. This deluge caused widespread flooding that overwhelmed rivers and creeks across the region, with some areas receiving over 20 inches of rain within a short period. As the storm progressed, North Carolina and Tennessee saw some of the worst inland flooding, with rivers like the French Broad and the Little Tennessee overflowing their banks. Small towns and urban areas alike were transformed by flash floods, which destroyed homes and forced many residents to evacuate or seek shelter in emergency facilities. In Atlanta, the effects were also severe. City infrastructure suffered and highways were cut off due to sudden water accumulation, making it nearly impossible for rescue teams to reach certain neighborhoods. The flooding was compounded by multiple tornadoes spawned as the storm traveled further north. South Carolina and eastern Tennessee experienced these tornadoes in high frequency, leaving downed power lines, destroyed buildings, and debris strewn streets in their wake. In Virginia, floodwaters caused additional disruption, leading to landslides in mountainous areas that further hindered rescue efforts. As Hurricane Helene moved deeper inland, it continued to wreak havoc on power grids and vital infrastructure, leaving millions without electricity across multiple states. The massive storm, which had already brought extensive damage to the Gulf Coast, saw its size contribute to the severity of outages and infrastructure destruction even far from the coast. Transmission lines, utility poles, and power stations in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia took heavy damage from Helene's strong winds and sustained rainfall, rendering countless homes and businesses powerless. This disruption added an additional layer of hardship for communities already dealing with flooded roads, damaged properties, and scarce emergency resources. In addition to power outages, contaminated water supplies emerged as a significant concern for residents in the affected areas. In Florida, sewage systems overflowed, and storm surge combined with heavy rain led to water contamination. Similar contamination spread in Georgia and the Carolinas, where overwhelmed sewer systems and failing wastewater facilities created health risks for those exposed to polluted floodwaters. Emergency crews worked to distribute clean water to as many people as possible, but the sheer scale of the impacted areas created logistical challenges. Health officials warned of waterborne illnesses, and cases of skin infections and other flood-related ailments began to rise. Moreover, Florida's coastal cities, particularly Tampa Bay, faced significant challenges as the record-breaking storm surge began to recede. Roads were left littered with debris, sand, and mud, and many buildings sustained lasting damage. Cleanup crews mobilized to remove fallen trees, overturned vehicles, and wrecked property, yet the scale of the devastation slowed recovery efforts. In the aftermath of Hurricane Helene, communities across the southeastern United States began to grapple with the long road to recovery. The impact was especially pronounced in the hardest-hit areas, like Florida's Big Bend region, where homes and businesses were left in ruins and essential services remained largely unavailable. As people returned to assess the damage, many found their properties either irreparably destroyed or requiring extensive repairs. In coastal towns, the cleanup was underway with local and federal agencies working around the clock to clear debris, restore utilities, and provide emergency aid. Still, shortages of critical supplies combined with the widespread power outages and water contamination created major obstacles for recovery efforts, and further inland flooding continued to pose a threat for several days after the storm had passed. In North Carolina and Tennessee, heavy rainfall overwhelmed rivers and dams, leading to additional evacuations in low-lying areas. Rescuers remained on high alert, deploying helicopters and boats to assist residents trapped by rising waters. Organizations like FEMA, the Red Cross, and the Salvation Army provided food, shelter, and medical assistance to thousands displaced by the hurricane, yet the need for aid continued to grow with each passing day. Local leaders emphasized the importance of resilience and community solidarity, as volunteers and neighbors banded together to support those most affected by the storm's aftermath. In a testament to the widespread destruction left by Helene, it became clear that the storm's legacy would shape disaster response protocols for years to come. Government officials, emergency responders, and meteorologists all reflected on Helene's unprecedented impact, emphasizing the need for updated hurricane preparedness measures. As rebuilding efforts unfolded, communities also pushed for stronger infrastructure and improved flood defenses to withstand future storms. Although Helene's devastation left a lasting mark on the Southeast, the resilience of these communities shone through as they began the long journey toward recovery and rebuilding.